Well, right now, the search is on for an escaped inmate in Pennsylvania and the daunting moments when a deputy barely escapes wildfire flames.
Fox Carolina's digital producer Anissa Snipes shows us what's clicking on our website, foxcarolina.com.
Right now, a convicted murderer in Pennsylvania is on the loose, and a video of his escape is what's leaving people shocked. Take a look. The escapee is in an exercise yard when he walks towards a doorway. He spends a moment looking over his shoulder before quickly climbing up the wall. Officials say he's able to climb up to the roof, push his way through razor wire, and scale another fence where he eventually escapes. Right now, a massive manhunt is underway for him. A deputy's body cam captures frightening moments while saving lives in this fire in Oregon. The deputy is out telling the community to evacuate when he gets caught in the middle of it. Watch as he makes his way through the intense flames and heavy smoke. The sheriff's office says the deputy is able to make it to safety and helps others by keeping them from going down the road he just navigated. A surfer swimming with his daughter notices others in trouble. Two major hurricanes off the coast can produce dangerous swimming conditions. The surfer sees one man get caught in the strong rip currents about 20 yards from the beach. The surfer is able to use his board to pull the man to safety on the shore. The surfer says he was happy to be at the right place at the right time. You can find all of these videos and more on our website at foxcarolina.com. For What's Clicking, I'm Anissa Snipes.